The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to Hoop Ball DFS Today. I am Andrew Hansen, joined by Andy Gallagher. We are covering the Friday slate, a big 10-game slate. Andy, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, a lot to go through, and we're going to make it fun.
Yeah, this is a LeBron slate. I know you're a big fan of LeBron, and we've got all of his teams on here. We've got the Cavs, we've got the Heat, and we've got the Lakers.
Yeah, we got the superstars out playing, so we're gonna highlight those guys, try to help you see, which studs to play, which value guys to look to, see what possibilities there are out there, so you can get some value and win some big games and tournaments.
That's right. That's our goal, isn't it? We need to set a goal here, Andy. I'm thinking by the new year, you and I both need to take down a GPP. How does that sound?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's easy.
Piece of cake. Just listen to this podcast, follow the news, and it basically is going to happen, just as a matter of course.
Yeah. You got to let it play out.
Just let it play out. Just let it happen.
That's right. You got
that's our mantra.
Just
let it happen.
Like
Don't fight it. Don't fight it.
No. I mean, it's like from years of doing it, you have to keep yourself in the learning process. You have to keep it where you're always trying to learn something new.
It's sort of like when you're in the zone on the court. You don't want to try too hard. In fact, you don't even really feel like you're trying. You're just in the zone. You're just draining every shot you take. Swish, swish, swish. That's what we're looking for. All right, just let it happen.
All right.
Catch and shoot.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Let's get into this 10-game slate. Before we do that, I want to mention that our title sponsor, of course, is Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. It's been about 15, 18 hours since I've had my 2 cups. So I gotta dig deep here. I'm already looking forward to tomorrow's cups. But check out their website at hawaiianisles.com. You can also find them on Amazon by searching for Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. That's how I've been placing my orders. You can also find them on Twitter at HI Kona Coffee. So that is a nice way to pair your morning breakfast with this podcast. I highly recommend it. And Andy, let's get into this slate. The first game of the 10-game slate, 7 o'clock tip, Atlanta traveling to Detroit. Why don't you tell us who you like on the Pistons side?
Sure. Yeah, with Detroit, there is really a lot of value with Blake Griffin. So I will, if I can fit him in, I'm not prioritizing it this time. But if I can fit him in, if there's a buy-up spot, he's going in at the price. So really, then also for value, you've got the options of course, Rose and Bruce Brown at only 4,300. The thing is these guys really are interchangeable as they, Rose, from what I understand, Rose starts probably, and Brown comes off the bench. Really, I think the minutes are similar for both of the two guys. So you're it's another waiting game. You're kind of seeing to make sure, confirm the value of the starting lineups. And I'm not really sure if one is better off on the bench or not, but I think really both of them, when they were in starting positions, they are can hit value. So look out for those two guys. As far as Detroit, I think I would be good with probably just those 3.
Yeah, they've been sort of mixing up the starting lineups, so that's certainly a good thing to look at. And of course, with this being a 7 o'clock start, you'll have that news before the slate tips off. And I think those are decent prices. I agree that the primary interest for me would be Blake Griffin. 7.7 is a little bit low for his potential upside. He hasn't really hit his groove yet, but he's getting good minutes. So I think he's somebody you can look at, if you want to take a shot on him. Over on Atlanta's side, the news that we want to watch is Cam Reddish is questionable, and anytime you analyze the Hawks, you've got to look at Trae Young. He's at 9.4, and I am primarily going to fade him on this slate. It is a 10-game slate. We've mentioned that there's a bunch of stars coming. The next game we do, we've got Bradley Beal at 9.6. I like him a little bit better. So I'm primarily going to fade Trae Young. I'm going to look at two of the other lower-priced starters. DeAndre Hunter is 4.9. He just had a huge game against Milwaukee. And the last game that Detroit played, the opposing small forward was Shaquille Harrison. He had a monster game. So I'm going to look for DeAndre Hunter to go back-to-back here with nice games. I really liked how he looked against Milwaukee. He was catching, he'd go with the catch and shoot right away in transition. He wasn't hesitating, more aggressive. So I like him at that price tag. And then Jabari Parker has dropped down to 6.1. And he's coming off a tough game because he was being guarded by Giannis. So I think this is an excellent chance for a bounce back. That price is just too low for the type of performances he's been having lately. What do you think, Andy, about the Hawks side?
Yeah, I mean, looking at what they have out right now here real quick, the two guys basically out, John Collins and Kevin Huerter. So sure, I mean, fire up Hunter and Parker. That's really good price.
How about Trae Young? You okay fading him at 9.4?
I'm actually fine fading him.
You're going to fade him? Yeah. You like some of the other stars later?
Looked at some other studs for the night.
Okay. Great. Well, let's head on to the next game because the next game has the highest over-under on the board right now. We're still waiting on a couple more numbers to post, but this is the Charlotte at the Washington Wizards game. And the Wizards have been involved in some shootouts lately. They're last in defense. Okay, they're 30th, and the Hornets are 25th. So this could be a high-scoring game. I'll let you start off with the Wizards. Who do you like on that side?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Actually, you can go ahead with yours because my computer got a little bit slow here.
Yeah, sure. Let me start off with the Hornets. On that side, I like Rozier a little bit. He's 6.2. He and Devontae Graham are getting consistent minutes around 35 minutes a game, even though they're both starting. So I like him against this Wizards backcourt of Isaiah Thomas and Ish Smith. I think he can really take advantage of them. And then Zeller is 4.9. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but that's a pretty low price for him. His minutes, you just can't really count on them. So I think it's more of a tournament play. I like the idea of possibly pairing Rozier and Zeller. If I was just going to go with one, I'm going to try to get Rozier in a couple lineups.
Sounds good. I was actually thinking that with Charlotte, you kind of have to decide between Graham and Rozier.
Right.
I believe they have a similar price tag, so that's kind of an interesting option there. Maybe possibly pairing with Zeller. And even PJ Washington for a low-cost value, you could use him as needed.
Okay. Yeah, well, the nice thing about Rozier and Graham that you mentioned is Rozier is $700 cheaper than Graham, so that certainly adds to the attraction for me for Rozier. Okay, what do you got on the Wizards side?
Sure. So you can try to find value with I'm going to try the name. If I'm sorry if I botched a little bit. Hachimura.
Yeah, Rui. Just call him Rui.
Rui. Okay. So or of course Isaiah Thomas. Because Beal's in play. If you want to use him, as your superstar in a close projected game, high scoring over under, that's fine. You could do that, and that's a good call. It's a nice bold one play, and you can try one of those latter two with your value and set those guys up, or you can use one of those two with some of the other big superstars we'll get into later on down the line here. So I believe Beal is an option here.
Yeah, I like Beal a lot. He hasn't. The last two games haven't been the 60-point monsters that he was rolling out last week. But in this matchup, I'm going to have a lot of Bradley Beal in my lineup for sure. The other value guy I like for the Wizards in this matchup is Bertans. I mentioned him about a week ago after Mo Wagner had his big game as a potential pivot, and he has responded with a couple 30-point games. So his price has creeped up a little bit. He was back in the mid-4s. Now he's at 5.2. But I do like him, especially if you want to stack this game with 2 or 3 or even 4 players. I like him matched up with Beal.
Yeah, add to the stack because that's the way to go. It was just one of 2 games, I believe, up in the higher 230-point over-unders.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. This is a strange slate in that we don't have 2 or 3 games that you really can expect to be shootouts. The over-unders are pretty consistent. So I'm going to look to stack less on this slate than I normally would.
Okay.
But for any game to stack, this would be the first one I would look at.
Cool.
Next game, I'm interested in this one as well. We've got Sacramento traveling to Brooklyn. This is a 7:30 game. I'm going to let you start with Sacramento.
Yeah. So taking Sacramento, they have a lot of injuries. They're very thin in the backcourt. So we're down to, because Fox is obviously out, we're down to Joseph if playing. Now, if Joseph is out, from what I remember reading, that's a strong possibility right now. So we got 2 guys that'll line up at the point guard. That would be Yogi Ferrell and possibly this is a guy I'm kind of got my eye on, Justin James, to see if one of those guys can obviously not even have to start, but just take over some value, some minutes, get some run. I don't know exactly what to expect as far as who would win the game, but I'm expecting a higher over-under and probably close and tight. So maybe that's what we can expect for this game. So then, other than that, we could also look to I gotta try his name here. Nemanja Bjelica, yes. He's also looking good as a value. You can plug him in there, and he's pretty good all around with the stat sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. He's attractive, and you're right. We got to follow the news on this backcourt because, again, we're taping this on, Thursday night late. So we don't have all the news yet. If he's out, then I am quite interested in Yogi Ferrell. He's 3.5, so I don't think we need to go down to Justin James just because I think Yogi would go for 30 minutes, and 3.5, you're already saving a bunch of money there. But if Corey Joseph plays, his price tag hasn't got quite caught up with his performance. He was a monster on the boards for his size last time out. So 4.9 is a nice price tag on him. The other issue here is that Bogdan Bogdanović is questionable with his hamstring. Luke Walton let him run the entire fourth quarter in that last game, and Buddy Hield was sort of in the doghouse. So Buddy Hield sat for almost the entire fourth quarter. And, I think that may have been why Bogdan strained it. It seemed like he strained his hamstring. Or he said cramp. He got cramp. So right at the end of the game. So we got to look at the news on Bogdan, but that's going to be big. If Bogdan and Corey Joseph are out, then I like Yogi and Buddy. I like both of them. They're just going to dominate the usage.
Right.
I also like Holmes at 6.3. We like to target the Nets centers, and Allen is a little bit dinged up on the other side, so it could be another good night for Holmes. And because of these price tags, you can actually stack this game pretty heavily. You can go one of the point guards, Buddy Hield, Holmes, and on the other side, Kyrie Irving is out, so we got to turn to Spencer Dinwiddie. And his price has been creeping up. He's up to 7.6, but he's shown that he can go over 40 fantasy points. So in this matchup, I like Dinwiddie stacked with those guys from the Kings. Do you like Dinwiddie as well?
Yeah, he's the guy he's the main guy on the other side.
All right, so there you go. We'll get some guards in that game at good prices, and hopefully that'll let us pay up for a star or two as we continue through the slate. Let's move on to the 8 o'clock grouping of games, and let's take your Miami Heat, Mr. Southern Florida. Let's take your Miami Heat up to Chicago against the Bulls.
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off with the Heat?
Okay, so with the Heat here, we've got to look for some guys, of course, like Kendrick Nunn. He's in starting position because, let me just take a look at the injuries here real quick. Still expecting these guys out. Still expecting Winslow and Derrick Jones Jr. to be out. So that frees up, the guard positions. So you still got Nunn in there. You still got Dragic comes off the bench. He's pretty good. He was lighting it up for a little while last game against the Cavaliers. If he can stay consistent, we could kind of look and compare pricing there between the two guys if you want to even, and maybe take the lower. I'm sure that's Dragic, and then between him and Nunn, and you can look at Bam, and his minutes are good, right up around more 30 minutes a game, get you a double easily, get you that point extra few point value. I'm not really going to Butler because I'm pretty much approaching his slate with as many stars and scrubs as I can get. But you can also look at there are more guys that you could also look at here. You could look at take some some shots. This could be, I want to see what the over under here is, but you could take some shots like in the GPPs with another guy like Tyler Herro. He also played very well off the bench last game as well, and they're probably looking at like a 210 over under, but they have a chance to blow out the Bulls, like a 10 plus point lead, more so, and handling the team even in Chicago. So I think that's a possibility of stacking them for a GPP.
Yeah, they could certainly take care of the Bulls pretty easily. Bulls are struggling a little bit. They're 5-10. Heat, really strong start to the season at 10-3. And the Heat are really challenging, aren't they? Because all these different guys can step up. We've seen Nunn and Dragic and Hero all have really big games. Duncan was the star last time with 9 threes, but he's priced up to 5,000. I'm not going to chase those points. And Bam, he's the man, but now he's up to 8,000. So I don't really like his price tag. Butler at 8.3, he's the one guy for me that I am interested in. He's going back to Chicago where he played so well for so long. So I think he'll come out swinging, and we know that he can put up 50 fantasy points. So I like his price tag at 8.3.
Yeah, we got different approaches, but either one can work.
Well, that's the thing. Miami, anybody can stand out on any given night. So it is hard to predict.
Yeah.
On the Bulls side, what's that?
They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. So on the Bulls side, I mentioned Shaquille Harrison earlier. He's 5,000. Last game, he got a spot start, and he put up 45.25 fantasy points.
Right. He killed some of our lineups last night.
Yeah, how about that?
Sure did.
If you all haven't seen him much or know much about him, he's sort of a small forward type, and he's left-handed, so I love that. And he historically has not been a very good shooter. Has never really gotten many minutes or put up big numbers, but I watched some of the game. He was aggressive on the boards, very fast, and the three-pointer that he made, it looked like a really sweet stroke. So I'm willing to play him again because Chandler Hutchinson is doubtful. So as long as he gets another start, I like him at 5K. And the only other guy I'm somewhat interested in for the Bulls is Kobe White at 4.9. Last 3 games, I think he hasn't really popped, but he's explosive. So one of these days he's going to put up a big night again. How about you? Anybody you like on the Bulls?
For the Bulls, I would say let's wait and see about what's going to happen with the 2 guys on the report there, Porter and sorry, I just went blank for a moment. Hutchinson.
Right. Yeah, I'm expecting Porter should be out still, and like I said, Hutchinson's doubtful. So
okay, so we can.
I think we should assume they're both going to be out.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was just going to say then, assuming they're both out, I'm okay with Harrison. He's not a must play for me because I don't just want to trust him after one game like that. Like I said, he killed my lineups that I unfortunately had last night where the opposing opponents of mine, they put him in last minute, and then they sunk a lot of my lineups just because of Harrison. So unfortunately, that happens some nights if you don't get to your lineup set in time. But that's how it goes. So I don't have to play him, but he's a good play. Like I said, assuming those 2 guys are out.
Okay. Yeah, and I think he was 3,000 in that last game. So just incredible value, 15x. I mean, yeah, that's a monster score. So
now the 5K price tag. So
right. All right. Well, let's move on to game number 5. This is another 8:00 game. The Lakers and the Thunder. This is a rematch from Wednesday. Mm-hmm. The Lakers won that one 112-107. Anthony Davis had a very strong game that night. And now they've all traveled to Oklahoma City for the rematch. Who do you like for the Lakers in this one?
Yeah, this is interesting because when you look at the Lakers, they have the 2 stars, James and AD, and then everybody else is kind of like mixed up right now. You don't know who's starting night to night. You have to watch that. You don't know who's going to get minutes. Kyle Kuzma is only 4,300 right now. Danny Green, 4,200. So these guys are very low. Right now is the time to buy. I would still pay up for James. I don't mind paying up for Davis at all. I would play them both, even in lineups. We've seen that happen the other night. In fact, after you and I did the podcast, we were discussing between the 2 which one to play. Ended up, but both of them had monster games in a blowout. So with these other scrubs, I can't trust them, like JaVale McGee and KCP. I don't care for those guys.
Yeah, I've never been able to get KCP right. JaVale McGee won me that coach's challenge a week or so ago, so he's got a special place in my heart.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, these LeBron and AD, they're really clicking. They've got the number 1 defense in the league, and they seem to really enjoy playing together. The other guy, I like that price on Kuzma. I agree. 4.3 is very low for him.
What is that?
He can easily get 30 fantasy points. But Rondo, we got to keep an eye on him. He's up to 4.6. He played 27 minutes last game. He is coming off the bench. Oh. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just making sure my connection stayed on. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so Rondo, he played 27 minutes. He's up to 4.6. Just want to keep an eye on him. I probably won't play him, but I'm on the verge. I mean, it's sort of just like 4.6 for a guy again who can get a triple double. Sure. He's not shooting that much, so it's unlikely. And he's not rebounding quite as much because of all these bigs with the Lakers, but that's in general too low for him. So he's somebody I would consider. But on the other side, I'll turn to the Thunder. Schroeder off the bench is 5.5, so I actually have a little bit more interest in him. And I noticed today that he actually has a higher usage number than those guys that start, CP3 and Shea and Gallo, because when he comes off the bench, he's often running the show. So I like him at 5.5. He's actually probably my favorite play in this game.
We're talking about Gallinari?
Schroeder. Gallo is 6.1.
Schroeder. Oh, yeah. I thought it was Schroeder. Okay.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder. Yeah. So I like him at 5.5. Gallo is a decent price at 6.1, but it is a tough matchup. So for me, it's primarily going to be Schroeder.
Okay. Works for me. I mean, I hadn't really thought about him. I looked at this, starting lineup here, and I suppose, those guys are good values like Gallinari, maybe Shea, where he's sometimes a good play.
Yeah, and his price keeps creeping down. So eventually, he's going to be another good buy low candidate as well.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we could get 34 points out of him.
Yeah, wouldn't argue against that at all.
All right.
Okay, well, halfway through the slate here, big Friday night 10 gamer.
Yeah.
Man. Rocking and rolling. Next up is San Antonio traveling to Philadelphia. Both of these teams are going to be on the front end of a back-to-back. And we've got the Spurs. They're just coming off that high-scoring game against the Wizards. And it's surprising to me. They're actually 28th in defense this year. Just not what you would expect from a Popovich squad. And they're 5-10. When we do daily fantasy, sometimes you just get lost in the minutia of one player, one team, one game, one night, and you forget to look at the big picture. But that's also surprising to me. I mean, they really got to get going here if they want to stay within striking distance of the playoffs out west. And we know that the Spurs haven't missed the playoffs for more than 2 decades.
It could be approaching the end of the run here.
This could be it. So, and Pop is certainly not going to want to go to 5-11 facing off against one of his proteges, Brett Brown. So the Spurs, well, I'll let you break it down. Tell us about the Spurs.
Cool. Yeah, I can't believe we're fighting over the Spurs here. But okay, no. So the point guard, Patty Mills, he's looking like a value. I can't recall because I played him last night. I can't recall how he did, but I do remember.
Yeah, he was solid. I want to say he had 16 points. I can't remember the other numbers, but I think he returned value, sort of like a 5 or 6x.
Okay, so he's possible. We just got to check his score, obviously, before making your lineups. But then with Podol, this other guy, now he started. I'm not sure exactly why he started last game, but he played and he got okay results, even better than Mills. Now he put up about 23 DraftKings points.
Yeah, what they did was they put Trey Lyles on the bench and they just brought Pirtle into the starting lineup.
That's right.
It's just a classic Pop move. I mean, Pirtle has started in years past, so it's not a huge surprise, but he had been coming off the bench. And so this is just one of those prime examples of why it's so hard to trust anything associated with the Spurs in fantasy, especially on the front end of a back-to-back. But, you got to just do your best. So
that's right. I mean, Aldridge and DeRozan, they're just not – I'm not feeling them as far as what they've done so far this year. That body of work is not really they're not really putting it together so far unless the price is really – so – no need to really go there other than looking to find a value with maybe Mills, Podol, or the other they got Murray, and what's the other point guard there?
And White. And so that's the thing. Derek White is questionable. So if he comes back, then that's just going to mix up the backcourt entirely. And we'll see Patty Mills go back to the bench most likely. And I was right that Patty Mills had 16 points last game, but I'm just looking at actually his price was $4,000, and so he actually returned like 7.5x. So he's been priced up now to 5.1. So
he's out
as attractive. Yeah. DeRozan, I have some interest in DeRozan at 7.7. That's it's a little bit low for him. But I think I like Jimmy Butler a little bit more in that price range at 8.3. So
DeRozan is less than Aldridge, right?
Well, let's see. I got to pull up Aldridge's price.
Yeah, I could find it here too. Let's see.
Aldridge is He's 7,000. So Aldridge is cheaper.
Yeah,
But
I would if I was playing one of these, I would just go with that, the cheaper one. Just because they're projected to actually be at the same 30, 31 points. Sorry, that was FanDuel. No, DraftKings are projected at 31, 32 points.
yeah, you get some savings there with LaMarcus, and he should get big minutes against this big 76ers squad. The only news on that side is Josh Richardson questionable, Trey Burke also questionable. As for the starting crew over there, Embiid is 9.3. With this being the first game of a back-to-back, I'm just not quite interested in Embiid as much as I normally would. That is a very good price for him.
Mm-hmm.
This one I may take your approach and just go with the cost savings in terms of the starters. Maybe this is a Tobias Harris night. He's only 6.2, and he can go over 40 fantasy points. So I kind of like Tobias Harris in this one.
Yeah, he can get up there. The other guy I was kind of curious about. I don't know. His name is Furkan Korkmaz.
Right.
Let me see how much he was here. But Korkmaz, if you can get enough minutes, that's the problem, of course, off the bench. It's just another value option possibly for Philly. Let me see.
Yeah, he's been in the starting lineup a little bit, getting decent minutes off the bench. He's only 3.8, so
Okay.
he's one of the value plays for a guy that might get
Yeah.
might get more than 20 minutes.
Yeah. So we can look at just a possibility.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, nice to mix in a couple potential value plays here. I don't think we've mentioned anybody under 4,000 yet. So there's a guy to keep an eye on, especially if Josh Richardson is out and Trey Burke. If they're both out, I like him even more.
Yeah. Because we don't have a whole for this large of a slate. We don't have, not a whole lot of guys that are out, but we could have enough to where we can play around for, with a few options like this.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've had injuries every night, back-to-back injuries. Even tonight with just the 4 games, unbelievable amount. Like with, New Orleans and the other teams going on, just a lot of injuries. But we'll have some.
Yeah, we'll get some news. Absolutely. Then we'll get somebody under 4K that we can add to that list for sure. So, all right, next game on the list is we're going down to Texas. We got the Cavs and Mavs, and Luka has just been off the charts. But
yes.
You being a big Cavs fan, we're gonna let you dissect the Cavaliers and figure out if there's anybody who can slow down Luka.
Yeah, well, no, that's not going to happen. They just might as well let him run off and do his thing. So there's no guard that's going to match up against that big, bulky frame of his and going off and just draining trays everywhere. No. So what you got to look at is taking advantage with the big guys, of course, for the Cavaliers. Tristan Thompson should be back. I think it's a good matchup with him, like against Powell. So I really am looking at that as one of the best value picks of the night. So I will look there. If not, for some reason, we could look to if he's out. Actually, I don't know if he would be. Then we can go right back to Nance. So that's fine there. I just was looking up the prices real quick. If I had noted there.
Yeah, but, Tristan Thompson's only 5.7.
Yeah. So Nance even less, of course. Probably, I'm sure, in the 4K range. So we can sure go there. I'm not going with any of the guards. I'm pretty much just staying with those two. I don't want to bring in Zizic anymore. I think he's pretty much out. We don't need to consider him.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. These two teams played 5 or 6 games ago. Tristan Thompson had a very strong game. He had 39.5 fantasy points. And Kevin Love also had a good game that day. But he's 7.8, so I want to save the money here. Go with Tristan Thompson at 5.7. And they did price up Nance after that good game. He's up to 5.5, but that was probably just in case he was going to be starting. So with him back on the bench, I agree. We can forget about him on this slate. Go with Tristan Thompson. Then over on the Mavs side, I mean, there's only one guy that I really want to talk about. It's Luka. Three out of the last 4 games, he's had over 74 fantasy points. He is just in the zone. I mean, talk about letting it happen. If he were playing daily fantasy, he would have won GPPs like 3 out of the last 4 nights.
He had last night 50 points at halftime, DraftKings points. 50 points at halftime.
Yeah, he went 22-5-5 in the first quarter. He outplayed Golden State single-handedly. It was absurd.
Yeah, it was embarrassing for them.
Yeah, so, it was embarrassing. They didn't have Draymond, and then they were just a mess. But Luka was anything but a mess. And he also played well in this matchup. When they played in Cleveland, he had 73.5 fantasy points. So really no reason to expect him to slow down. So the only thing is now he's 11.4. So they finally put him up in the LeBron stratosphere. LeBron is 11.3 on this slate. Luka 11.4. And I have a feeling for the rest of the season, this is one of the big decisions we're going to have to make. Luka or LeBron. The two guys who have been sort of batting back and forth, winning the headlines with the triple doubles so far, and leading their teams to excellent starts.
Or maybe we can get them both in.
Yeah, could be, depending on what value opens up. I would lean towards Luka on this slate if I was just going to play one of them, and I don't think I'm going to mess with anybody else on the Mavericks. Anybody else that you're looking at?
Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, he had a nice game last time out. He had 20 points. But
salary went up, though.
Yeah, just
10K. No, not 10K.
Hardaway's up to 4.5. That's a good price for him.
Up 10K, 3.5 to 4.5, I believe.
Okay, so he went up 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean he's got the potential for sure. So I don't mind that play at all. Yes, risky indeed.
So all of our listeners know hopefully what to do with that.
GPP only. All right, game number 8 is out in Utah. Golden State is coming into town with their 3-13 record, their 29th ranked defense. And they have to go up against the second-ranked defense, the Utah Jazz. They're 9-5, looking to protect home court. Who do you like? Who do you like on the Utah side? We know we can expect they're going to win easily. Who do you like to stand out for them?
Well, once again, it's just because of my build and my approach, stars and scrubs type approach for the night. I'm not going with the overpriced guys like Mitchell, Gobert. So we're perhaps looking for another blowout because Golden State is just playing that awful basketball right now. So I'm looking really just down the line to the price value. We got Royce O'Neal, 4K value, possibly. I believe he's a starter. And so then we got Ingles off the bench for more run. Especially if it gets more out of hand, more so, you get some guys off the bench to start getting some run, and you could include Ingles and as well as Mudai for more run as well.
Yeah. Ingles and Moutier, those prices are pretty low. I mean, Moutier again, if he gets enough run, he can certainly return value for you. It's not very exciting. And then Ingles, his price has really been dropping, and I can't quite figure out what's going on with him. I mean, he's used to coming off the bench, but he just doesn't have it together this year. So I'm going to fade Utah entirely because I agree with you. Those stars are just a little bit overpriced since we don't know how many minutes they're going to play. And the only guy I might have some interest in on Golden State is Draymond. He's 5.8. He didn't play in that massacre against the Mavs with a heel issue. So if he comes back, 5.8 is just far too cheap for Draymond. And interestingly, the other Golden State guys, they really got priced up on this slate. Even though they got trounced, I'm not really attracted to the prices on Bowman and Pascal and Burks. All these guys got priced up, so I'm only looking at Draymond on the Golden State side. How about you?
Sure. I mean, I'm honestly fading the whole team. I don't like how anything's looking there right now.
Yeah, I can't blame you. So, Steve
I mean,
Kerr.
it's good that Bowman get the point guard run. I heard kind of that Draymond could still be out, so Bowman could get full-time type point guard run.
Yeah, we'd like it, but he's 5.2, so
yeah,
it's harder and harder for him to hit value, especially against that tough Jazz defense. So, I mean, Steve Kerr is just in a world of hurt up there. You got to feel for him.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's stay out on the West Coast there and actually come back a little bit towards the East. Let's go to Denver.
Yeah.
We got a 9:00 tip with the Celtics against the Nuggets, two teams that are in top 10 in defensive efficiency. Why don't you start off with the home squad out there, the Nuggets? Who do you like there?
Sure. Well, they're home favorite in the altitude, so that's a worry for Boston. So maybe Denver can wear them down a bit here. So with Denver, though, what I was looking at was Barton, as he can put up some consistent numbers at times, but he's kind of hard to trust sometimes here. Let me take a better look. Let's see here.
He's at 6.2K.
Yeah. I mean, he'll get you over 30 minutes. He can get you around 6 rebounds, 12 points. So, I mean, decent. I don't know if I would run with Jokic or Murray or even Millsap, really. Unless I drop down in price, I'm sure, here to Gary Harris. I could use him. Good minutes as well. Maybe can hit. Yeah, he has good peripherals. I mean, not that I'm trying to go for this team, but these are just some, I guess, fill-in options if you want to buy up or spend down somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys are very good players. Denver's at 10-3, excellent season last year. They're starting to find the rhythm a little bit. They had that huge offensive outburst against the Grizzlies. Mm-hmm. I do expect this to be a little bit lower scoring, and I would expect it to be a close game. I think that's the benefit. Last year when these teams matched up in Denver, it went down to the buzzer. So we should get those normal allotment of minutes for the starters. I just don't really like the price tag. Nobody's really jumping off the page for me. Jokic at 8.6. The guy who can get a triple double, you like that potential, but again, I like these wing players better in that price range on this slate. So I'm actually probably not going to play any of the Nuggets. On the Celtics side, what an exciting game that was they had against the Clippers last night, going to overtime, and Daniel Tice just really came out and played big, with the national spotlight on him. And for some reason, he's only a 4.9. So he's the one guy on the Celtics side who I think is still going to give us value. I think he's going to be working hard out there against Jokic, and he'll be involved. And just his recent form, I like at 4.9K. I like Tice. How about you?
Not sure. I mean, if he would get the minutes, because we also got Ernest Cantor. I think those two are going for the same minutes basically, so I don't really trust it.
Yeah, throughout the year, Tice typically hasn't gone over 24 minutes. Cantor's been, oftentimes around that 24-minute mark, and lately he's been splitting the backup minutes with Robert Williams III. So I agree. It's not like we can, guarantee that Tice is going to get over 30 minutes, but Brad Stevens really showed his faith in him last time out, playing him well over 30 minutes and in overtime. So, we'll keep an eye on that. How about anybody else for the Celtics? Any of those perimeter players attractive to you on this slate?
No, really not. I can pass on that because I think Denver can kind of wear them down. And I mean, like I said, the game can be close, but low scoring. So, I mean, it's good if you get a shot for overtime, but that's pretty much tournament type play.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, Jaylen Brown is 6.8 and Tatum 7.5. So, yeah, with the Nuggets defense, that's why I'm planning to fade this game other than Tice. All right, well, the last game on this slate, my friend, is an interesting matchup. We've got the explosive Rockets traveling to Staples Center to take on the Clippers. And Clippers finally have everyone now. We saw that against the Celtics.
Yeah.
And now they've got to deal with Houston coming to town. It's projected to be a close game. Who do you like for the Clippers?
Yeah, well, this is pretty good because with the Clippers, you kind of got to go Lou if that option is there. If you're building out your lineup and you find that you got to come down to like a guard, like a swingman position, you can or shooting guard, look at Lou. But then if confirming, of course, Kawhi is playing, you can get a lot of value with him maybe over Harden just because of how much of a price drop he is. I believe like over 2K price drop between the two. Now, if you were stacking the game, if you really like the game, which I do as well, although Vegas has got this line here, not really so, it's decent, 226.5 over under, with the Clippers favored by maybe 4 points. So it'll be a good game, entertaining, tight game. So, but as far as the actual plays are concerned here, I also got no problem playing Paul George as his minutes has really shot up well over 30. So really, you just got every level of pay down option from the superstar with Kawhi pay down option off of Harden, or for some reason you stacked the game, you played Harden and Kawhi. You could also throw George in there as well because, like I said, he's really bumped up. And then, of course, you got Lou into consideration.
Yeah, you're right. There's sort of these different tiers of pricing on this game, and it's going to be something we really want to pay close attention to here in the coming weeks with the Clippers. Now that they've got everybody back, how's it going to shake out in terms of the usage? And so far, Paul George has just been amazing, with his efficiency and his points per minute. And I'm a little bit surprised that he is that much cheaper than Kawhi.
Yeah.
Just that 8.1 price tag just jumps out for Paul George compared to Kawhi at 9.5. And then you're right. I mean, Lou Williams is still attractive at 6.6. And looking back, these two teams did play early in the season. I'm a little bit surprised. It was low scoring. It was 102-93. Houston won that one at home. Paul George did not play in that one. And some of these other guys that have really been standing out lately didn't do too much in that game. For example, Pat Beverly was terrific against the Celtics. He had that career game, but he didn't do too much against the Rockets last time. I think he was focusing a lot of his efforts on the defensive end. And Montrezl Harrell played big minutes, but he didn't do much dealing with Capella. Harden had an excellent game, but he's priced at 11.7. So it is tough because this is such an attractive game. I think this one for me might just be more of a game that's more entertaining to watch than to actually get too many players out of this game.
Okay.
You can never go wrong with Harden at 11.7 and Westbrook at 8.4. That's attractive as well. But like I said, he didn't do too much in the last matchup either because he was dealing with Beverly's defense.
Yeah.
The only other news on the Rockets side is that House is questionable. So we got to keep an eye on that. He's really hit value lately. Anybody you like on the Houston side?
Yeah, I was thinking if House is out, when McLemore he gets 30 plus minutes, he showed us several games back that when he actually gave 30-plus minutes in the game, he scored 26 and 31 points collectively. So, he could easily hit value at only 3,900 tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's right. He had that big game against Minnesota, I believe it was, and now he's back. He was over 4K. Now he's back to 3.9. So there's another $3,000 guy that we've found, uncovered. If House is out, I agree. He's more attractive if we get confirmation that House is out.
Absolutely. And, just as maybe a fun thing, if betting the game, I would probably take the over. Clippers are favored by 8 points. So I don't know if that's too high. I mean, I would probably take Houston on that side.
Oh, really? I thought I saw -4 for the Clippers.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because I'm looking at something else that shows projected scores, but that's not the official scores. My bad. The official. Let's see. You're probably right here because it's such an interesting game. You're right, 4.5 Clippers.
Okay, so it moved from 4 up to 4.5.
So actually, the way to go would be to go over 4.5, maybe for the Clippers.
All right, so you like him in that to win by between 4 and 8. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, well that's the 10-game slate. Mr. Gallagher, any final thoughts here as we get set to build our lineups for Friday night?
That covers everything, Mr. Hansen.
All right. Well, before we go, let's thank our title sponsor again, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. Let's give out some Twitter information so we can share whatever news we come across. They can find you at Drew J. Gallagher, correct?
Correct.
All right. You all can find me at Language Olympic. Be sure to follow Mr. Micah Patria, MikeApotria. Follow the coach, Joesarvadi. He's certainly going to be watching Luka put up another triple-double against the Cavs on this Friday night. And follow Miles at Miles6565. And again, the final thought here is just let it happen. We're gonna take down some GPPs by the end of the calendar year. So just listen to the podcast, follow the final news at Hoopball Fantasy, and let it happen.
All right, yeah, just follow the news at the end, all the way down to the wire. It's nice that I'm focusing on DraftKings again, that we're able to switch out guys as these time slots come closer to tip-off. So we can do that as long as you're keeping up with that as well.
That's right. Keep following the news throughout the night. And that'll do it for tonight. For Andy Gallagher, I am Andrew Hansen. Thank you again for joining us on Hoopball DFS today. Be sure to tune in on Saturday, and our guys will hit the Saturday slate as well. So thank you for joining us, and have a good Friday, everybody.
All right, good night.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.